Hi, this is Victor and welcome back to my math tutoring channel. In this video, we'll calculate the limit of that example in front of us when x goes to 0, the limit of 1 minus cosine x times 2 cosine square of x minus 1 divided by x squared. And the technique that I will use are the hospital rule and a trigonometric identity formula. So let's start. If I want to do the limit of when x goes to 0, 1 minus cosine x times 2 cosine square x minus 1 divided by x squared. It's way easier for me if I distribute the cosine x inside my parentheses. So let's start doing that. So the limit when x goes to 0, 1 minus cosine x times 2 cosine square x is 2 cosine cubic of x. And cosine x minus cosine x times minus 1 is plus cosine x divided by x squared. So if I replace x by 0, I know cosine of 0 is equal to 1. Cosine of 0 is equal to 1. So I will have the limit when x goes to 0, 1 minus 2. Cosine of 0 we said equal 1. 1 to the power of 3 is 1 times 2 times minus 2 is minus 2 plus cosine of 0 is equal to 1 divided by 0. But I have 2 minus 2 which is equal 0 divided by 0 and it's indeterminate. So this is how I know that I have to use the hospital rule. When I have an indetermination, I have to use the hospital rule. So the hospital rule, it's the derivative of the numerator divided by the derivative of the denominator. So let's apply it. Okay, limit when x goes to 0, I know the derivative of 1 is 0. I have minus derivative of 2 cosine cubic of x is 2 times 3, which is 6 cosine square of x, multiplied by the derivative of cosine, which is equal to minus sine x, and plus, and the derivative of cosine is minus sine x, divided by derivative of x squared is 2x. Here a lot of students does that mistake when they calculate the derivative of cosine cubic of x. Like I have to multiply this 3 by this 2, it becomes minus 6, and cosine square of x times the derivative of the cosine of x. I have to multiply it by the derivative of cosine of x. If I have to the power of 1, I don't have to do it. But if you have anything to the power more than 1, you have to multiply it by the derivative of either cosine or sine of x. So let's continue. So here it becomes limit when x goes to 0, minus times minus is equal to plus 6 cosine square of x sine square of x, and plus times minus is minus sine of x divided by 2x. And again, if I want to replace x by 0 here, I will have, you know what, before doing that, it's easier for me. I have cosine square of x here. The cosine square of x, here I'm gonna use the trigonometric identity formula that said cosine square of x plus sine square of x is equal to 1. That means cosine square of x is equal 1 minus sine square of x. So I will replace this cosine square of x by 1 minus sine square of x. So the limit when x, because even if I want to substitute x by 0 here, I have sine of 0 is equal to 0, that is 0, and this is 0, 0 minus 0 is 0 divided by 0 is 0. So I have to apply the hospital rule, but here I have u times v, like I have the u is equal cosine square of x and my v is equal to sine square of x, and I know u times v is equal u prime v plus u v prime, so it becomes a bit more complicated. The way that I'm gonna do it now, it's gonna be way easier for you, and you always have to take the easiest way in order not to do like a mistake or something like that. So it becomes 6, and I replace cosine square of x by 1 minus sine square of x multiplied by sine of x minus sine of x divided by 2x. So all what I did is I replaced cosine square of x here by 1 minus sine square of x. So now I have to distribute the sine and the 6 inside the parentheses. So it becomes the limit when x goes to 0. 6 times 1 is 6 times sine of x is 6 sine of x. And 6 times sine of x times sine square of x is equal minus 6 sine cubic of x. And I have this minus sine of x. I keep it here divided by 2x. So now I have 6 sine of x minus sine of x is become 5 sine of x. And I have here minus 6 sine cubic of x. So let's start with it. So it is equal to the limit when x goes to 0, minus 6 sine cubic of x plus 5 sine of x divided by 2x. Again, sine of x is equal to 0. 0 times 6 is 0. And this sine of x is equal to 0 times 5 is 0. So I have 0 in the numerator. And if I replace x by 0 in the denominator, I have 0 divided by 0. And I have to apply the hospital rule again. But here it's way easier. All what I have to do is derive this and then derive that. So it becomes limit when x goes to 0. And the derivative of sine of x is cosine of x. But I have to the power of 3. So I will start minus 6 times 3 sine square of x. And I have to do the derivative of sine of x, which is times cosine of x, plus 5. And the derivative of sine of x is cosine of x divided by 2x. So, divided by 2. The derivative of 2x is 2. So, here, if I replace x by 0, this it becomes limit when x goes to 0, minus 18 sine square of x cosine of x plus 5 cosine of x divided by 2. So sine of 0 is equal to 0 here, times cosine of 0 is 1. 0 times 1 is 0 times minus 18 is 0. And cosine of 0 is 1. 5 times 1 is 5 divided by 2. So the answer is become 5 divided by 2. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel. That would help me tremendously. And if you push the like button, I would really appreciate it. Thank you for listening.